We managed to get resupplied at Walmart, charge our devices at the hospital, and now we are on the bus that runs between Rutland and Killington, and the driver said he will drop us off at the trail. So a couple hours in town and back to the trail. That's a pretty good day. All right, back on trail. Pretty slick little resupply. We got a hitchhike in from a former thru hiker, and then charged our things at the hospital while we went and shopped at Walmart, and then took the free bus back out to the trail. Only off trail for a couple hours, so gonna move on. Good morning and welcome to day 56, and welcome to Porcupine Adventure. This is a gigantic porcupine. So this bark is used in the moldering privies to help with the decomposition process. And this gigantic porcupine is in here apparently eating the bark. We're looking at the back side of him. I'm not going to go around to the front side because I don't want to get stuck. But these in there just having breakfast, chilling, minding his own business. Porcupine day 56. So that was a big porcupine. As I said, day 56, I'm leaving the shelter. I'm not sure what the name of it was. Anyway, they had a wooden tent platform, so I got my tent set up on a nice level space and slept great last night. About 14.8 miles to go today to the next shelter. Trying to get down to the town of Manchester in 4 days, and then I'll get 8 days to get down to Bennington, where my wife will fly into 1 week from today. So I cannot dawdle. So day 56, and we are off. Yep, so it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. It's pretty quiet. Sun's coming through the trees. It's actually very cool and pleasant. So I'm just climbing up this thing. I think this goes to Killington Peak, and there'll be a side trail that comes off here and goes up to Killington. I will not be taking that side trail. But it's a pleasant morning. I've seen a porcupine and 1 northbound hiker so far. That's my wildlife count for the day. Wanted to show what this trail looks like down through here. So those are just deep roots from erosion. And then you can see the trail is just kind of rocky and full of roots. And then, not to pan too fast. Again, just more rocks, more roots. You're going down that way, trail's narrow. It's extremely difficult to walk on this stuff. I mean, you're constantly twisting your ankles, slipping into holes between the roots, tripping on rocks. I'm not sure that 14 or 15 miles a day is even realistic out here in this kind of stuff. And honestly, I thought I'd left this behind when I left New Hampshire, but apparently not. So here we are, back on the rocks and roots. All right, there it is. Somebody already made this, so I'm just going to use theirs. Looks pretty good. That's it. 500 miles, 500.0 to this point right here. So 1,697 left to go, I do believe. Nothing but a trifle. It's 500 miles. Yeah, that was just terrible. Yeah. And I was like twisting ankles left and right, stepping on roots.
That's when I know I'm getting tired, right? Like, oh, you're right, you know, you start to...
Right, it is 5:30 p.m. I've got about 2.5 miles left to go to the shelter. I really have to set an alarm in the morning because I got started way too late today. I came out on the road, this last road, and this fellow that was day hiking was there with his truck. He had a cooler full of beer, so he offered me an ice cold beer, and that was just what I needed at this point in the day. Little short road walk here, and then I'm back into the woods, and hopefully I'll be at the shelter in the next hour and 20 minutes. This looks like an electric fence right down there, and there's a big field here. And I think those are cows way over there. Some cows. Anyway, I got about 9/10 of a mile to the shelter here for the night. It's 6:30 p.m. All right. That's the Clarendon shelter over there. You can hear the water running behind it. That's the water source. So it's the end of day 56 and 14.8 miles, so just almost 15 miles today. Tent is set up. I'm going to go ahead and put the sleeping bag and the air mattress in there, and I'm going to head over, get some water, and make dinner at the shelter. So good night, everybody, and I will get you tomorrow. Remember our Gold Star families, please like and subscribe, and Recon out.
Good morning, and welcome to day 57. Rained a little bit last night. Looks like I'm the first person awake. I'm all packed up. I get my shoes on, take the tent down, and go get my food bag out of the bear can. And start some breakfast. Try to be on the trail no later than 7. Got about a 13.5 mile day today.
All right, so I'm back on trail, and I just walked up on this. It's quite pretty. Throw my trekking pole so I can work this phone. Oh, don't. Ooh, I almost dropped my trekking pole off this cliff. That would be terrible. Anyway, there's a little town down there. And actually, it's an airfield, it looks like. So it's about 8 a.m. There's a tree in the way, but it looks like an airfield right there. Let me see if I can get a better view of it. Yeah, definitely. I don't know what airport that is, but definitely an airport. So here we are in Vermont, continuing to march. Wow, look at this. Coming up on a footbridge. These are always exciting. Gotta be careful, I don't want to drop my phone. God, that would be a mess. All right, so this apparently is Clarendon Gorge. Quite a bit of water there. And they got this nice footbridge. I hope it's not too unstable. Whew, holy shit, this thing's bouncing like crazy. Oh my God, look at this. Doesn't that look amazing? Water's just crashing down through those rocks. Wow. All right. This bridge is, I'm pretty high up. And this bridge is bouncing up and down. Whew. I'm sure it's fine. Wow. Way in a bridge. That was pretty cool. I'm safely on the other side. That black spot in the distance is a bear. A big black bear. See him? Oh man. He keeps moving. He's moving slowly away from me. I'm trying to get a better view for you. Shoot. Yeah, he's back behind there. So that was pretty cool. I got a great look at him. He was maybe 50 yards away, not even that far. And he's just chilling, just kind of lumbering along. And unfortunately, by the time I get the phone out and get the video turned on, he was pretty far away and he was moving away from me. I don't think he even knows I'm here. But I hope you saw something. It was pretty cool. It's my first bear sighting on this entire trip. Vermont black bear. Oh, this is really pretty. Just came out in these rocks. Got a great view through the trees here. My bear friend is gone. He just took off. And once I started making some noise because I don't want to startle him, he just flew. Anyway, look at this. So this is the airport that I looked at before, but from a different angle. Definitely an airport. And there's a cool house looking down there, like a mansion or something. And then there's more houses over here. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool rock outcropping here. So I just met the coolest family. They were going north, And they had the granddad, who's from Vermont, and then mom and dad, who are from Wisconsin, with their little boy, who's 8 years old. And they spent the night out last night in tents, and it's the little boy's first overnight trip to the outdoors. So I showed them my video of my bear sighting and spoke with them for a while, and it was just really cool to see them out here having such a good time and see them bringing that little guy out here for some exposure to the outdoors. And I hope they have a great hike. White Rocks Cliff Trail Outlook, 2/10 of a mile. Yeah, not going out there. We got a regular rock garden here. Look at this. Somebody made something here. Everybody thinks we want to see their rock art. More over there. More up there. Another bunch. As a general matter, it's really a violation of the leave no trace backcountry rules to be doing rock cairns like this, but whatever. A bunch of them here. Okay, this is Little Rock Pond. And this is where the shelter is located, over around the other side, I think. So I'm going to end day 57 here. I'm going to walk around to the shelter. I am probably going to go in that water and clean up a little bit. It'd be lovely to have a little swim. And then we'll see what the shelter's like and if they have any tent sites. And good morning from day 58. I have a very nice brook right here. I'm back on trail, spent the night in my tent at the last shelter at a pond. Horrible thunderstorm last night, but stayed perfectly dry. Now I am scooting along. Tomorrow afternoon I've got to be at the road crossing to Manchester. And then somebody will pick me up and take me to the hospital. So I'm getting attacked by gnats, so I'm going to turn this thing off and get moving. Beautiful river right here. I just popped down here real quick because I could get to the water easily and fill up my water bottle and filter some water. This is just gorgeous though. It's a beautiful, beautiful river. The water is crystal clear and cold. That bridge right there is the Appalachian Trail. So I'm gonna hop on up there and keep moving. So this is Baker Peak, and there's some ledges here. And you can see a mountain there. I don't know what that is. It's very hazy today. It's been very humid. But anyway, this is Baker Peak. There's some ledges here. It's not supposed to rain. And I'm going to go ahead and have lunch here. It's only 12 noon, but I've got some exposure here and I get my tent out and dry it out. And I'll probably pull my quilt out too and let it dry. It's not wet, but it's damp. Everything's damp around here. And, you know, it thunderstormed last night, so my tent is wet. So I'll probably pull the stuff out on those rocks, let it dry, and have lunch, and then move on. I'm going to go to Lost Pond Shelter. That'll put me about 9 miles from Manchester, where I'm stopping tomorrow. I could go further, but it doesn't really get me anything because I'll probably get down to Manchester and have the road cut off at about 1 p.m. tomorrow, and I can kill myself and push further today, but it's not going to get me in that much earlier. Tomorrow's the hostel, resupply, and laundry. And this is what the hiking community calls a yard sale. So I got all my stuff thrown out here in the sun on these rocks. So it's just always wet out here. Everything's damp. It's raining almost every day. So if you get a chance in the sun, try to dry some stuff out. So lunch is over. I finished lunch and got all my stuff dried, which is really nice. I'm walking down these slabs of rock, and they're very difficult to walk on. You can see they're in layers, and then they were pushed upwards, I'm sure 100 million years ago. And so they're at an angle, they're really weird to walk on. But I got a pretty nice view off this thing. It's interesting. I mean, there's a road. I don't know what that all is over there, but I'm zoomed in as far as I can. There's a road over there. It's quite hazy today, but I don't think it's gonna rain. So not as many views here as New Hampshire, and a lot more, you know, buildings and houses and farms than I saw up north. I mean, I could look out like this and not see anything. So I'm going to continue on to the shelter. All right, so it's 2 o'clock and I've just arrived at Griffith Lake. I had to put my head net on a while back because those gnats are just infuriating. They're about the size of a fruit fly, and they just are they're ridiculous. They just cloud on your face and dive in your eyeballs. So this is supposed to be a pretty nice lake with nice campsites. It'd be an early day. It's only about 10 miles from me. But no matter how far I go today, I end up in Manchester tomorrow. So it just depends on how early I want to get there. So there's no point in pressing it today. If I leave here, then Bromley Peak is the next place, really. And it's 6 more miles. And I don't really see any point because it's not going to get me anything. Tomorrow I'll have 10 miles to go. I'll cruise in at about 1 or 2 p.m. and get to the resupply in the hostel. It's a pretty lake. The tenting area is behind me. I'll go check that out. But it looks like a pretty nice lake. The water looks clear. And I would really like to go for a swim and get some of this funk off me, so I might work that out too. And good morning from day 59. Had a nice night here at Griffith Lake. Had my tent on the tent platform, slept quite well. And now I am moving out. I've got to get down to the road crossing at Vermont Route 11 by about 2 p.m. to get picked up and taken to the hostel. So it's about 6:45 and I am moving out. So I am climbing Bromley Mountain, which is a ski mountain, I believe. There's a lot of mud today. It's been raining for like the last hour. I think it just kind of slowed down. It's dripping out of the trees now. And I'm soaked. And I'm hot and sweaty. And this is one of those days where I'm like, what am I doing here? I have a nice soft bed at home. And I have no idea why I've chosen to walk 2,200 miles through the wet woods. But here I am, so I'm gonna keep walking. All right, here I am in Manchester, Vermont. So this fella who is a Marine as well, who was following me on Facebook, wanted to help out. So he picked me up at the trailhead, drove me down here. Price Chopper, which is a, I don't know, like a discount food place, is right over there. I'm gonna resupply there, and then I can call the hostel. They'll come pick me up and bring me to the hostel. But more importantly, I'm gonna find lunch. So I'm on the search of a burger place that has draft beer. That is the ticket. The hostel says no alcohol allowed, so I need my beer right now. And then I'll go to the Price Chopper resupply. All right, so I landed in a pizza place and I'm sitting in the booth. I did get myself a nice draft beer though, and I'm getting a large pizza. I'm sitting way back in the corner because I'm sure that I smell like roadkill and I feel bad for anybody around me. So I'm way back here in the corner, and there's no outdoor seating unfortunately, but I'm pretty far out of the way, so I think I'm okay. So here I am at the Price Chopper. I've got my shopping cart and my food bag, and I am reboxing all my food, and with the shopping cart and the food spread everywhere, I've got to look like a homeless dude. It's pretty funny. I'm getting some folks out front here. I'm surprised that I have not been asked to move along. Good morning, welcome to day 60. And I had a great night last night here at Manchester, Vermont at the Green Mountain Hostel. This is my nice comfy little bed, and if you look outside, it is pouring out there. So it looks like I'm hiking in the rain today. We'll be rolling out of here in about 45 minutes. So I'm packing up, taking the linens off my bed, and gonna go grab some breakfast downstairs and get ready to head on the trail. And it's gonna be a wet day, wet couple days actually. So for now, remember our Gold Star families, and I will be back with you when I get on the trail. Recon out. All right, here I am back at the trailhead. It is pouring. I'm gonna go off into the woods here before I stop to tie my shoes up. And honestly, if my wife wasn't coming and I didn't love her so much, I would be like, forget this. I'd just go back to the hostel. Yeah, it's pouring out here. This is just awful. So if I haven't mentioned it, I've got 40 miles to go to get to Bennington, and that's where my wife will meet me in 4 days. So I have no choice but to hike. Otherwise, I would probably not be out here. And I understand that tomorrow's going to be even worse. So anyway, what can you do? March on. For now, Recon out. Yeah, this is just awful. This may actually be the worst weather I've hiked through this entire trip. It rained like this in Maine, but it didn't last this long. This is just horrendous. Ugh. This is through hiking. Yeah, like you go. Good morning and welcome to day 61. So leaving Stratton Pond shelter and heading south. Quite a rainstorm yesterday. I mean, it rained all day. Rained a good bit last night as well. Got into the shelter. It's really nice shelter. Got all my wet clothes off. Got into dry clothes. Had a decent dinner and then got into my goose down quilt, which was some reason damp. I don't know how it got damp. I don't know if I set it down someplace. The inside of the liner bag wasn't wet, so don't know, but I think it mostly dried out overnight. So I've still got dry stuff to wear. It's supposed to rain today. The forecast calls for up to an inch of rain, which sounds like a lot of rain to me, but I'll just try to get you another shelter, get set up, and get my dry stuff back on again. I was getting a little cold yesterday. I mean, at one point, I'd buttoned my rain jacket completely up, put my hood up, and zipped everything up because it was windy and getting chilly. So in weather like that, you just got to kind of be careful, for hypothermia, constantly monitoring your situation. And anyway, I was fine. Got dried off and warmed up. So now I'm back on trail. Going to meet the wife in Bennington day after tomorrow. So I've got plenty of time. It's 29 miles from here to Bennington. So starting day 61, and let's get back on trail. I forgot to mention something else. I just hit 550 miles of this hike. So 549.25 miles is exactly 25%. So I am 3/4 of a mile past 25% of this. So in 61 days, I've done 1/4 of the hike. Yeah, it's a little scary to think about, honestly. But starting from the north, because you have the much more difficult terrain in Maine and New Hampshire, you tend to go slower. So I should pick up speed, particularly as I get out of Vermont and into the flatter states of Massachusetts and Connecticut, etc. So, but anyway, I am 1/4 or 25% of the distance done. I'm pretty excited about that. And I think that calls for a donation to the Marine Reconnaissance Foundation in commemoration of 25%. So if you're able, I'd appreciate it if you could go to the page and leave a small donation in honor of 25% completed. Semper Fi, and Recon out. Well, here I am at the top of Stratton Mountain. Stratton Mountain is a ski resort, and there's an observation tower up there, which I guess is an old fire tower. It's pretty tall. It'd be fun to go up there, but it is so fogged in, I'm sure that there's nothing to see and not really point walking all the way up that thing. So I'm gonna get back, head down that way on the trail. If the weather was nice, I'd probably go up there. Yeah, it is pouring now. Only went 10 miles to the shelter and decided to wait out the storm here. Probably spend the night here.
Yeah, exactly. I was sitting there looking behind me the whole way. I still have to go 3 miles down the hill. So then she passed me up.
It's like 5 miles to the next shelter, but I think I'll stay here for a moment. And good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 62. And I am just leaving the Story Spring shelter. Got in here yesterday fairly early, probably about 2:30, 3 o'clock, after having done about 10 miles. And you could hear the thunder and the storm just rolled in, and I decided that as far as I was going to go. I was hiking with some other southbounders who were going to go further, and we all decided not to move on. And it just rained continuously for about 6 hours. It just poured, stormed, and I was very happy to be in the shelter. Woke up this morning. It's not raining. It's not supposed to rain, but it's cold. It's probably, the weather report said it was 49 degrees in the town, and I'm guessing it's probably 45-ish up here. Very windy, very chilly. The coldest morning I've had so far. I don't know if that's going to be the normal from now on, or if this is just kind of a weird cold streak, because my warm clothes are all still in Virginia, and I wasn't planning on getting those until later in the season. But we'll see what happens. I slept quite warm and dry last night, so I'm happy about that. And I am moving out. I've got 19 miles to go to get to the town of Bennington, Vermont, where my wife will meet me tomorrow afternoon. So, 2 easy days. I don't have to rush. I'm only going 19 miles. So, Semper Fi and Recon out. After all the rain last night, the trail is a swamp. I mean, it was muddy anyway, but now it's just a swamp. It's just water running through mud. You can see like how muddy and wide it is up here. And it's like 40-some degrees out here. It's freezing and my feet are cold. Not exactly optimal hiking conditions out here today. Yeah, I just came in to this pond and really pretty. It's kind of gray and dismal looking out today, and it's cold and windy, which makes this even kind of like more pretty. It's just kind of bleak, but nice little pond. It's raining. Still raining. Still mud everywhere. I gotta say I'm not feeling it, and I feel a little betrayed. The weather app said it was not going to rain, and obviously it is. So I'm a little unhappy about that as well. Not having a great time for the moment. This is a third day straight of solid rain. Not cool. Well, the rain seems to have stopped. I stopped here at the Kid Gore shelter for lunch. There was a bunch of other people had all stopped here as well. And it looks like the rain has stopped and kind of get a little bit of a view here. And it's my pack at the picnic table right down there. So I just finished lunch, had a nice tortilla with peanut butter, a Kind bar, and a bunch of Fritos. So I'm gonna move on. The next shelter is about 4.5 miles. Probably stop there. That'll give me about 10 miles to do tomorrow to get into Bennington. If I went past that shelter, it's like, I don't know, it's another 7 or 8 miles beyond that. It's a long ways. And no point in really going that far today. So anyway, it's supposed to clear up and get a little bit better. I'm gonna hopefully start drying out a little bit, but right now I'm soaked and I'm getting cold, so I'm gonna get moving. It's almost 3 p.m. and I'm about 1.4 miles from the Goddard shelter where I will probably spend the night. So that will give me 10 miles to go tomorrow to get to the road crossing where I'm getting picked up by my wife. Here is the trail. You'll notice it is basically a creek. I mean, it's obviously just water running down the trail. It's part of the creek. Interestingly, no mud right in this particular section. But I've actually walked through a few areas of water just to get some of the mud out of my shoes because it was squishing out through the holes in the shoes. So, pretty gnarly. Be glad when this dries up. Good morning and welcome to day 63. And I am on trail at 7:30 in the morning. It did not rain last night, but it was cold. It was supposed to get down to about 45. It's still pretty cold this morning. Everything is wet and damp. It's kind of gross. But I'm on trail and I've got to go about 10 miles to get to the road crossing in Bennington, Vermont. And that is where my wife is going to pick me up. And I'm going to take a couple 0 days in Bennington and then get back on trail in about 4 days. So off I go. I've got a date in about 8 hours and I don't want to be late. Still heading down towards the road. I'm getting picked up. I got about 4.4 miles and came upon this view and opening of the trees. Not many views around here, unfortunately, just because there's so many trees. And also because it's been so foggy and rainy. But way in the distance, there's some mountains and you can't make them out probably, but there are windmills on that tallest one to the left there. And this is the end of day 63 in the parking lot here on Vermont. I'm not sure what the route is, but anyway, I'm only 5 miles from the town of Bennington, Vermont, and my wife is already here. She'll be along shortly to pick me up, hopefully, unless she's going to abandon me here. She may take one look at me and just drive away, but we'll see. I'm hopeful. So for now, Recon out. Please remember our Gold Star families and Semper Fi.